Hello everyone, welcome to the Lungleng Show. Today we have a special episode on business and entrepreneurship. And joining me here is Medo Putsure. As we all know, Bambusa is a chain of restaurants. In their term, it's called quick, what do we call? Quick serving restaurant, exactly. So quick serving restaurant, QSR. So he has been working on this, and I think we all have tasted their foods. It's amazing, and their packaging, the way they produce, the way they deliver, and the way they serve, it's just amazing. I think all our viewers from Nagaland would have definitely tasted their food and would have really enjoyed whatever that they serve in the restaurant. So it's really wonderful, and this is an exemplary story, in our context, because we hardly see successful entrepreneurs in our context. Maybe we give up too soon, or maybe we don't know the know-how of running a business. But here joining me is Medo Putsure, who has been running this as a proprietor of this food chain restaurant known as Bambusa, and at the same time he has started another honey keeping brand known as Galho, and we're going to talk about that as well. So I'm glad that you are here to speak about business and entrepreneurship today, and you are one success story, as we all see. Thanks for coming over and joining our conversation.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah. This is wonderful, and I would like to know, Bambusa has been such a big service to our, let's say, food lovers community. They would, when we are in office, when we are in any setting, we would just order Bambusa most of the time. And like I said, your packaging really, really stands out. I mean, let alone the taste of your food. It's delicious, and it really serves the need for food lovers. Thanks so much for the service as well.
Thank you.
So I want to know, when did you start this business?
So,
yeah.
First of all, I'm super happy to be here. I think your podcast has really inspired a lot of people. I'm a good follower of your podcast, and I think it's doing an amazing job. So I'm just thrilled to be here. So coming back to when we started Bambusa, right? It was Feb of 2013. There's a very interesting story, if you allow me to talk about the story. So in 2012, I actually just got back. I was in London. I was working there. I had a great job in finance. That's what I specialized in. So I worked for a few years there. Just that sense of fulfillment wasn't there, right? So I thought, hey, listen, what am I doing here, right? I'm in this big city, having a great time, no doubt, right? With a great job and all that stuff, but I just didn't feel that sense of like something missing, right?
Right.
So I said, let me try to do something. Maybe it's my calling is business. Maybe my calling is going back to my homeland, right? And doing something about the region, right? Mm-hmm. So post to 2012, towards the end of 2012, I decided just pack my bags, come back to Nagaland, right? So I landed in Nagaland 2012. I didn't have a plan then, honestly. I just quit my job. I just came. I just said, let's figure out something, right? Mm-hmm. So I came back in. I said, okay, what can I do? So I did have a lot of experience in finance and business consultancy. So I said, let me just start a business consultancy. Let me work with small startups in the region, in Nagaland, and let me see how I can help them grow, right? To understand how the landscape of business on entrepreneurship is. It was quite 2013 is like about 12 years back when we were talking about the scene was very different as in from what it is today. Today we talk about startups as a great thing, but back then it was a challenge. Entrepreneurship was always a challenge, right? Anyways, I come back in. I work with a couple of reputed organizations who had set up a few years prior to what I had come back, and I worked with them for some time as a consultant. I'd started a small consultancy firm. It was during one of these projects that I had approached the bamboo department based in Dimapur, right. 6 Mile, right? And to be honest, during that time, I was just doing I was trying to just get small projects here, there, and all that stuff. So I approached them. I said, hey, let me help you with the bamboo, because I think bamboo is our culture, right? Mm-hmm. It's embedded in our culture. It's what we eat. Mm-hmm. It's what we live in, mm-hmm. right? It's probably things that we wear, right? So it's so embedded in our culture that let me do something with you guys, right? And unfortunately, at that moment, they were not able to give me that project, but Mrs. Krenia Mehta was the team leader then. She asked me whether I was interested in running a small canteen, which was there in the Bamboo Resort Center, right? And she was very kind enough to say that, listen, you're also an entrepreneur. You're trying to do something. Do you want to take this place up, right? And for 6 months, I will not charge you anything. It was just a canteen for the bamboo department. There was one person running it, just selling some puri sabji, right? And they were not doing a great job, and their contract was not going to be extended. So they offered me that. So I looked at it, and it's just a beautiful structure of bamboo, right? So I said, hey, I would like to take that up. And literally this was in a week's time that I was going to get the place.
Okay.
Zero experience of hospitality, zero experience of hotel management.
Okay.
Here was a finance guy,
right,
trying to figure out how do we sell, right? How do I run a restaurant, right?
Correct.
But I said, you know what? It's an opportunity, right? So I said, I'll take it up. Let me figure something out, right? That's how basically I got the space.
Yes.
I made a few calls. I tried to arrange for a couple of cooks. I got a couple of cooks. There were like 4 of us that literally opened on day 1. And here's the crazy thing. Our investment was 1,000 rupees. That is how Bambusa started.
Wow.
A lot of people today, I mean, they say that maybe Bambusa had a lot of money, like maybe he had a lot of money, this guy, and he just opened up this brand, or maybe he got his franchise. Yeah. It's not a franchise, it's homebred, right? It's literally grown in Dimapur, and born from Nagaland. And so we started day 1, right? We didn't know how to do that. We just bought some pork, we bought some rice, we cooked, and we went around selling it to the offices around. Oh. So that 1,000 turned into 1,500. I see, right. The next day we reinvested that 1,500, that turned into 2,000, right? And literally every investment that we were making, we were like at least making a 50%, 40-50% margin, getting that money, reinvesting in the business. Yeah. At the end of the month, we had made enough profits to be able to pay the salaries and to cover small expenses, right? Literally, like I said, 1,000 rupees investment was because I went to my uncle, aunties, I got dishes, dekchis, everything from them, from their kitchens, right? Wow. So we did not invest anything. We just literally pulled the gas in the stove. We just had the place. There were some old table chairs. There was no customers at all. But we would actually go to the customers. So I think that's one very big learning that a lot of entrepreneurs should have, that you don't wait for the customers, you go to the customers, right? That was literally how we started Bambusa. And in about a year's time, we made a little profit, enough to open up a second outlet. So now what's happened is from one outlet, from one income, there's now 2 revenue streams. 2 revenue streams to the third one, right? So that's been really the start, the inception of how Bambusa started. So so it's very humble beginnings. I must say that I do talk to a lot of young people. I just say, don't wait for capital to come. Don't wait for money to come. If you have a great idea, make it work. It's going to happen. You don't need a lot of money. Wow. You just need to have an idea. You need hard work. You need commitment. You need dedication.
Wow. That's quite inspiring. I mean, like, now we just see the success story. We just see the chain of restaurants that you have. Now, you have in 5 districts, that you said, right? You have in Dimapur, Kohima, and which are the other districts?
So Dimapur,
Chumukedima, right.
Kohima, Wokha, and Mokokchung.
Wow. So altogether, how many restaurants?
So we have about 10 outlets.
About 10.
Yes.
So you started with like barely 1,000 rupees.
Barely 1,000 rupees.
Because let's set the record very straight. You did not start with a huge investment, with a huge capital. As an Angami guy from Kohima, people can think that, okay, he must have, accumulated a lot of money when he was working in London and he just came back. He must have invested so much.
Correct.
Right? So definitely it's a wonderful story, and it's a story of growth. It's a story of success. And I'm sure it's growing even more better, even nowadays, right? More intensively than how you started.
Sure. Yeah. Yes.
And, I just want to know, when you started setting up, how did the process look like? Setting up, as in you moved out to set up one outlet from Bambusa Resort.
Sure.
That was your first.
Sure.
And now the second one.
Yes.
How did you manage? Were you able to earn enough from the first one to set up this?
Yes. So we've never really taken any loans. We've never raised any capital. We've literally reinvested all our profits into opening the second one, the third one, the fourth one. Wow. So it's been an organic growth. Of course, in like 12 years, it's taken us 12 years to grow 10 outlets, right? For me, honestly, I just feel like if I'd raised money then, if I'd taken capital, it would have not worked out. It's because we've literally grown through that organic process, right?
Yes.
And I think today, youngsters, startups, they're too keen on just starting something and get funding, right? But I feel like the first few years of an entrepreneur, right, should be spent in understanding the business itself.
Right.
Understanding the basic fundamentals of business, right? Business is a long-term game. It's not a short-term game, right? It's not like you invest a lot today and, it's going to work out and, everything's going to be fine. No, right?
Yeah.
It's a long-term game. You got to understand the game first before you pump in the money, right?
Absolutely.
And that's why I encourage a lot of youngsters to say, first invest a small amount. Learn through that. And when you feel you're ready, then you can go and put in money or you can raise capital. That is when you really need the boost, right?
Exactly.
But use the first few years to actually understand the business. And the fundamentals of business is the same. Once you understand the fundamentals of business, it doesn't matter if you do a restaurant business, you're into hardware, you're into skincare, you're into manufacturing. It doesn't matter because the fundamentals are the same. But you would rather not take that risk starting up and investing huge amounts, but it's what you need to learn and grow and eventually use that knowledge to then kind of grow the organization or grow any business that you're doing.
Wow.
So they say CapEx, right? CapEx is the capital expenditure, right? The initial investment that you make.
Right.
It's not the CapEx that kills you. It's the OpEx that kills you.
What is the OpEx?
OpEx is operational expenses, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you invest 1 crore, 2 crores, 10 crores. It doesn't matter because that's an investment that you have to make with whatever business, large business that you're going to do. And that's not going to kill you. What will kill you is your operational expenses. That every month if you start bleeding, that is going to kill you. Because the capex might be whatever. It may be 1,000 rupees, 10,000 to 10 crores. It doesn't matter, depending on the size or magnitude of the business that you're doing. But if you're not churning out profits on the positive month on month, it doesn't matter how much capex you put in. You're going to eventually shut down.
Right. That's wonderful. I think the fundamentals of running a business, we have to learn it by ourselves through the experience, by experiencing every ups and downs of that business.
Yes.
Right. I think, but we end up looking the other way around. We just, like you said, I totally agree with that. Once you understand it, then everything will be easier. I want to know, how did you explore the food options, the menus that you offer? Because you say you're not from that hospitality background and you're not even a chef.
Sure.
I mean, whose help did you take, or how did you manage to do that?
Sure. I read this book where it says that the most successful business people are the ones who do not know anything, who are not specialized in a particular thing. And I think that helps because it allows me to have an overview of the business from a very different perspective. Here's the thing. If I was a chef, I would be so focused on just the food that I would not bother about anything else.
Right.
How Bambusa grows is because we do an overall look over everything else. It's not just the food, it's the service, it's the packaging, it's the customer relationship, it's the finance, right? It's the human resource management that we look at. So there are so many aspects to a business, right? It's not just the product, right? And that's another mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make, is they're super focused on the product that they fail or they ignore the rest of the businesses, right? The rest of the parts, aspects of business, right? But there are so many components to a business that you need to focus.
Yeah.
I think what helped me was the fact that I wasn't a chef, but I'm a foodie. So I love food.
Wow,
I literally travel for food, right?
I see.
And whatever I learn outside, I'm observant and I try to bring in and try to help incorporate into my organization, bring into Bambusa and try to give that out to our customers, right? Who have been, they're regular customers, loyal customers. It's because of the customer and the team that really, it's a success of the restaurants basically, or the business, right?
Makes sense.
So a lot of this packaging also, I've actually got these ideas because I've traveled to expos, to
that's important.
Conferences, right? Like I was sharing earlier. I think what we look at going to a conference, spending about $30,000-40,000 on airfare, on accommodation, right? We look at it saying that it's an expense. I'll just go listen to some boring person talk, see some stalls and come back, right?
Yeah.
But we need to flip that. We need to start looking at that as an investment. We need to actually invest in ourselves, right? Because if we really need to grow, we need to evolve our minds, right? And how do you do that? You're not going to do that by just sitting and grinding it out every day on day, right? Yes, there is a time for grinding it out, but there's a time when you feel like, okay, you know what? Now I need to scale. Now I need to grow, right? And what's my next step? I need to evolve. And that's why evolution within a person is important to happen. So we need to start looking at these travels as an investment. We need to start looking at attending expos, conferences as an investment, because we're always going to learn something new that we can bring in back.
Right. I think no wonder. Your packaging really stands out. I have never seen, business like that, and in terms of food restaurants and all. Like, we'll just give up, packaging as in just put it in the plastic foil or something and just give it out. But your packaging is another level. That's something as a Naga, I'm really proud of you and proud of the business that you're running. At the same time, what is reaffirmed by what you said, attending conference and all, you prioritize those things because, like I said, somewhere in 2014 or 15, we met somewhere in a event organized by a government, which is a boring event for a business. But I met you there. I saw you there. You were there introducing yourself. So I'm like, okay, now what you said makes sense. You don't want to miss all of those opportunities to meet people and learn something new. That's interesting. I want to know, how did you manage your staff? Because one of the main important things to run a business, to running a business, is maintaining and keeping your staff, retaining your staff who have been trained by investing so much in them. How do you do that?
I'm super proud of my staff, my team, as I call it, right? As an organization, as Bambusa also, we have grown because of our team, and we've grown because we've truly believed about that philosophy of saying we are one family, right? A lot of organizations say we are a family, but when the time comes, the actions speak different, right? For us, we have put our stuff at the core. We have made sure that our business is grown on that factor, that the team members, each and every one, is taken into, into growing together or along with the organization. Okay. So we have. I'll give you a couple of examples. So we have something known as the Leadership Academy within the organization, right? So our Leadership Academy is what? Like, it means that the managers, the assistant managers, right? They are taken on they're brought in as a cohort, and they are given leadership classes, right? So we don't tell them to just go, okay, you just go do billing, you do this, you do that, whatever, your day-to-day business is there. We actually have a Bambusa Leadership Academy, right? Through which they are taught to be leaders, right? To lead, right? And we also have another initiative known as the Bambusa Got Talent, right? This is the BGT, that Britain's Got Talent, right? So we have our version of Bambusa Got Talent. And this is a platform where we allow our team members, we have auditions, Kohima, Dimapur, we have auditions once a year, and then we have the grand finale. So this is a talent show that we've introduced, and this only for our team members, right?
How did you get time?
So we have to pull out time because this, like I said, is so important for the growth of the organization, right?
Absolutely.
It's so crazy to see that someone who joins our organization, who's so shy, and on these talent platforms, this person is going wild, right? Dancing to the crazy tunes of Bollywood movie songs, right? And then the transformation that happens after that is even more crazy. You can see a different person altogether. Someone who's more confident, someone who's smarter, someone who's like more, who's more friendly, right?
Exactly.
So those are the things that we try to bring out. So life skills is one of the very, very important things that we need to teach and guide our youth. See, here's the thing. We are 100% locals employed at Bambusa. And that's crazy to hear when I started, and especially when I started a restaurant business, everyone is saying, you need non-locals, right?
To work,
right? And because Naga youths are lazy, right? I'll tell you what, Naga youths are the most hardworking people.
Nice to know that.
The difference is that you need to guide them.
Exactly.
Sadly, at some points, at some levels, especially from the villages, They come and they are so misguided. I mean, they're not guided. There's no guidance for them from the parents also, right? Yeah. They have no idea. Their friends are guiding them, right? Or their friends are the support system that they have, right? And if the friends are not guided themselves, how are they going to teach?
Exactly.
So when we get people coming to join us from the villagers, there are these bunch of raw guys and girls that come in, right? And they come in and they're like, "Sir, toike kiba kowo," right? And I make sure that I will correct them and say, "Please come here. You don't say toike. You have to say apni ke kiba kowo," right? They come with a bag, not literally a backpack, 2 clothes, and they come like that, raw, right? And we take our first couple of months, we are just trying to groom them and trying to guide them, trying to talk to them about, just basic stuff like life skills, like discipline, right? Come to work on time, treat others with respect, right?
Exactly.
We also teach them on finance, right? We've opened bank accounts for all of them so that they can start saving some amounts, right? Initially, what used to happen is at the end of the month, they'll get their salary, whatever salary, 10,000 rupees, 15,000, whatever the amount is. They will take that, they will blow it up within 2 days, right? Now we're teaching them, okay, listen, you start your bank account. We'll teach them about SIP. We teach them about savings. And a lot of them have saved today 50,000, 1 lakh, and they're so happy today. They say, "Sir, thank you for teaching me." Because I would never have saved this money, right? So eventually, when they leave the organization also, at least they have like 50,000, 60,000 or a lakh to move on, to the next challenge that they move on to, right?
That's important.
So like I said, I think one very important aspect of growing the organization has always been the core, has always been the staff, the team. And if you really truly want to grow an organization, you have to have a very good human resource management strategy, which is going to actually enhance the growth of them as well as the growth of the organization.
Absolutely.
I always say I could never grow Bambusa myself, right? And this is a very funny thing, okay? I must share it with you. So there's this saying that they say that, what if you teach someone, right? What if you teach someone and they leave the organization, right? And this other person replies saying, what if you don't teach and they stay? What's the bigger loss?
That's true.
Right.
That's even a bigger liability.
That's a bigger loss, right? Liability, right?
True.
So don't feel like you're going to train them and then they leave and, it's going to be a waste. Don't, because if you don't train them and they stay, it's going to be a bigger waste.
That's interesting.
Correct.
I never thought from that perspective. Even I myself have been thinking, Chalo, let's not invest so much in them, because if they leave, then that will be a loss. But Correct. It's not.
Yes.
Regardless of how short they stay, they will be more efficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a change of perspective,
right?
Really.
That's beautiful. I'm sure many people running business will realize this. Even the big companies, they should know this.
Also, can I just share one more thing? So there's something known as polarities. Okay. So what polarities means is, so we put this case scenario during our Leadership Academy classes, right? We find there's a lot of conflict that happens, right?
Okay.
Especially because there are a lot of young people who are working in the organization. So young people have egos, have, pride, all those, that comes naturally, right? Sure. So we teach this thing known as polarities.
Okay.
What is polarities? It means like, okay, so we give a case scenario, right? So we say that if someone does something really bad to your loved one, right? We give them the case scenario. If someone did something really bad to your loved one, what would you do? Would you take revenge or would you forgive, right? And when you put a question like this to a group of people, you'll get some of them saying, hey, I'm going to take revenge.
Yeah.
And some of people saying, I'm going to forgive, right? And then we say, okay, these are two polar opposites, right?
Yeah.
Who's right and who's wrong, right? So the whole idea of me saying that is that these are two completely polarizing answers, right? But who's right and who's wrong? There's no right and there's no wrong. It's about perspectives. It's about situations, right? So the reason why we say this is we each teach them that when you have to manage people, you must understand the concept of polarities. Because this could happen or that could happen,
right.
But understand the situation better
to
make a better decision. So those are more under the conflict management, So just examples of what we teach in Leadership Academy.
I mean, that's important, investing in your staff and grooming them to become the person they are. I think because they're every day to interact with people, to talk to people. They're not just dealing with products and machines and,
Correct.
They're there to help people to just to talk to people. Some people may feel more relieved after visiting your restaurant.
Correct.
I think that makes sense. Now, I'll get into the details of your staff. How many staffs do you have currently altogether?
So we have 110, 115 maybe.
Wow, that's a lot. This is what I've been, just thinking to myself. We focus too much on, going for civil service exams and this and that, and we glorify them too much, not because, I'm not saying they don't deserve it, they deserve it, but our attention has been diverted to that.
Sure.
And once they get employed, what do they really contribute to our society?
Sure.
Maybe none, just to run the government, that's it. And government at the end of the day will be run with or without them.
Sure.
But in your case, you are employing 100 plus unemployed youth from our society. How can it be, what kind of work can be better than this when it comes to, like doing social work, doing favors to our unemployed youth? And you know the rising concern of unemployment in a state like Nagaland. I really appreciate you for that. And, it must be a very heavy task sometimes to manage all these people, sometimes because a lot of problems will come to you. Even to look after one or two persons, sometimes we cannot deal with it. And now, other than that, I want to, maybe it's up to you. I want to understand your financial proceeds.
Sure.
Like how, if you, whatever people need to know, like how much you are really making in a month or in a year, or is some of the, to the best possible way you can share for our audience.
Sure. So, I think one important thing that I really want to share before, I indulge in that is the fact that I think every entrepreneur should start a business without thinking of the financial benefits of what business brings.
Yeah.
Right? What I mean to say is that you should not have money as your core motivator to start a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do, then you will not be motivated enough, because there will be days when you don't make money. There will be days when you lose money, in fact, right? So obviously you do have your ups and downs. Saying that again, of course, if you do it in the right way, money will come, because it's more an outcome rather than a motivator, right? So what I mean to say is that, so when we started this, right, I started Bambusa not knowing anything and just taking it as an opportunity, like I told you, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I had a ton of money or something, right? Just said, it's a challenge, let's start it, right? And then as we started growing, what really started motivating was the fact that we started employing people, right? We started creating jobs, It's a different high that you get, the fact that, we're making some money. It wasn't a great lot, right? I've literally gone down to 80 rupees in my bank account or so, So I've gone down to that also,
since
right?
You started?
It's since, when initial days at least, right? I went down to 80 rupees in my bank account. So it wasn't money that was really motivating, because there are some days when we used to do like 200 rupees sales a day, right? Compared to what we're doing today, right? And so those times, I think the main motivation was two things. Was always been, for me, it's always been about finding solutions. So I'm someone that if there's a problem, I get excited, right? If there's an issue, I get excited, right? Because it's a reason for me to find a solution, right? So I love that, right? So that's the challenge that I love about business, right? Because every other day there's some issue or the other, right? Maybe a small issue, a big issue, right? So that's one thing I love.
It's not for the weak.
Correct. Yeah. It really isn't, but you have to probably, just grow, and become a steel-hearted person, to sort of really. The other motivation for me was, like I was saying, the fact that I was actually changing lives, I was being able to do that.
That's it.
I've been an employee for about 7-8 years. Maybe I had some corporate experience. I did some part-time jobs during my college days, right? So I did odd jobs, all the small things. And so I must have worked for about 6-7 odd years or something, right? But this was really the first time I was actually providing jobs, right? And like I said, changing lives and impacting people, and that was a different high that I was getting. And I was obsessed at one point of just trying to employ as many people as I can. And that's probably one of the reasons why I was pushing harder and harder to open up a second outlet, a third outlet. It wasn't because it was very profitable. It wasn't because I was making tons of money. No, it wasn't. I was just on a different tangent, right? I was just like wanting to start employing more and more people. I wanted to, and I'll tell you a story before I get into the details, right? I'll tell you a story about a person, just as an example, right? So this staff of mine comes to me once. This is a few years back, right? He comes to me and literally he's sharing his life story with me, right? He was telling me that this was one thing I honestly didn't know, but he was just sharing that, sir, I wanted to share something with you, right? I said, okay, please tell me, So he said, sir, before I worked in Bambusa, right? I know I told you I was working in a hotel, which I was working in a rice hotel, right? And he'd been working, but I didn't tell you before that what I was doing. I said, okay, so tell me. I said, sir, before that I was working for one of the underground fractions, right? And my job was to go and pick up cash from some of the shops, right? And I used to raise so much cash that I was misusing that cash for drinking and for enjoying partying, and of course I used to give it to my seniors or so, whatever, but we were raising a lot of money. And but then one day I was caught by the police, right? And then I was put under bars, and then I was also expelled from the fraction. And then I got the job in the rice hotel, right? And then I said, and then after that I came to Bambusa, right? Sir, today you've made me head cook, right? He was like a head cook, right? Sir, you've saved my life, because if I'd continued that life, I would have probably not been alive today, right? So nothing bad or anything like that, but these are the people that actually we've worked with, transform lives, right?
Absolutely.
And I think at some point there was an inflection point where I was just said, you know what, I want to try and help as many people as I can. I want to try and provide as many jobs as I can. And probably that's where the high started, and that's where the expansion drive went. So anyways, coming back to
sales
the financial thing and all. See, I can't indulge too much into the financials per se, right? But I think we're doing decent. We're doing very well. A lot of our profits don't really go back to us, because every other business person knows that every profit that we make, we are also looking into reinvesting. We pay our employees very well, because the core of Bambusa has always been, and I've always told this to my employees, it's not about that. Please don't say that you are working in a restaurant or a hotel. Now, we must need to focus on not the what or the how, but why. Okay, so if someone says, what do you do? Then, okay, I work in a restaurant. How do you do this? I cook, I do this, I do that, right? But I tell them, don't focus on the what and the how. Focus on the why. Why do I do this? Right?
Okay.
And that's when I tell them, you do this because you want to make a life for yourself. You want to make a future for yourself. You want to have a better life when you eventually get married and have a family of your own, right? A wise person always once said that if you are born poor, it is not your fault. But if you die poor, it's your fault.
Makes sense.
Because you get a lifetime to change that, right? And that's one of the things I always tell my employees. I say, I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you were doing before, right? But if you die poor, it is entirely your fault.
Makes sense.
Because I want to give you that platform. I want to give you that opportunity, right? So wow. I know I speak a lot about my team and stuff, but at the core of what Bambusa does, that's what we do, and hence we focus a lot on that.
I mean, it makes me think and realize you have a clear vision, and you are doing. You know what you are actually doing, and you know where you want to go. That involves a lot of managing the people who are working for your Bambusa and developing their personality and for their growth. So it's just not about delivering food. I think from what you stated, I sense that you're looking this business in a very holistic manner. So thanks for that, and I really appreciate. I think there are many people whom you can guide in this generation. Definitely, you can guide our business generation for this also. And another thing you are heavily engaged in currently is Galho.
Yes.
So when I saw the title Galho on the roadside on a billboard, I thought it's about the food Galho. But please explain it to me, like why you started Galho, which is a honey bee business.
Yes.
And I want to understand the concept of why you started and what do you want to achieve with this.
So yeah, so I think there comes a point in time in life. I think this is in everybody's life, right, where you are content, right, where you're happy, right, truly happy, right, and then you say, you know what, how can I spread the happiness, right? So for me, yes, I was obsessed with opening outlets. I was obsessed with providing employment, but I said, at this rate, maybe I'll employ another 100 people, right? But the reach is not there. The impact is not there. Can I do something that is more impactful, right? So I started really scratching my head, right? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do, right? And then I do understand, and I'm sure you're aware of, that food wastage is a very, very big issue in the Northeast, right? There's tons and tons and tons of food produced that is just being wasted, right? It's probably because of logistical expenses, because of lack of market linkages, right? There's so many issues, right? I mean, the farmers are not getting paid well.
Storage.
When I say food wastage is also, I mean produce that is undervalued, right? It's so sad, to see that something that is sold very highly outside, the farmer here is not getting paid even like 1/10 or 1/20th of that amount, right? And the middleman and the thing is, I mean, I'm not saying that you pay them a lot, but at least you pay them a decent amount for the produce, for the hard work, right? So at the core, it was always food wastage. Okay, I said it's a big issue, right? Let me try and pick up one produce, right? So with a very good friend of mine, Joel, right? Chef Joel, I think
Okay,
Chef Joel and me, we came together and we said, let's do something about this, right? And then we said, okay, something interesting is honey, right? Let's explore this, right? So Chef Joel and me, we started this brand called Galho. Galho, what it does is the impact is huge because we work with a lot of communities in the villages, right? We've gone there, we've trained them, right? So one of the things that we found out was that beekeeping has always been something else that's always been in our culture, right? Honey has always been in our culture, right? But when you go deep dive into this industry, the beekeeping industry, you realize that most of the honey that comes, right, it's pure honey, no doubt, but it's not ethically and sustainably sourced. What I mean by that is basically what's happening is that the bees, we are in a very rich biodiversity region, okay? So it means we have a lot of species of bees, we have a lot of different types of honey, right? Now what's happening here is that this honey is the bees are nesting on the trunks of trees, right? And they're making their hives on that, right? In the villages, what's mostly happening is they go and chop the whole tree just to get that part of the hive. They bring that, keep it in the house, and when the time comes, they'll cut the hive, they'll squeeze the hive, killing all the bees, right? They'll damage the hives, which is the homes of the bees. They'll extract that honey, they'll put it in a bottle and sell it to us, right? A lot of us buy because we love pure honey, but we don't know how it's come, where it's come from, the source and the method that's been used, right?
Correct.
So here's where we stepped in as Galho. We said, you know what? This is bad for the environment. This is unethical. And this is killing all the bees, and this unhygienic, right? So Galho is that one brand from from Nagaland at the moment that is really working with the beekeepers to train them modern methods that is being used around the world.
That means without damaging the hive?
Exactly.
How does that work?
Exactly. So here's the thing. There's a thing known as a scientific bee box. Right.
Yeah.
A scientific bee box is a box, right? It's a bee box, right? You take it to the thing, you put it in your whatever compound or your whatever farmlands or something. Let the bees live there. They form their beehives, right? When the time of harvest comes out, you just take out that frame, you put it in an extractor, you spin it.
Okay.
So the spinning removes all the honey, keeps the hive intact. You put it back in there. There's zero bees that is harmed. It's ethically sourced, and it's very, very clean and pure honey. And that's what we are doing. So you
extract the honey without squeezing the hive?
Correct.
I've never seen that.
Correct.
Okay. Wonderful.
That is what we are trying to educate our villagers on. And we are training a lot of women because we really, truly believe in women empowerment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Bambusa also has 55% of staff is women, okay, by the way. That's a crazy stat given it's a restaurant business, where the industry average is 5% women. Right, we have 55% women in our thing.
Oh, okay.
In the same way, Galho also at the core, it's always been about women empowerment. So we go to these villages, we work with train these women, right? We tell them you can keep the bee boxes just outside in your compound, just outside the house,
okay,
right? And when the time of harvesting comes, we've built communities around that. We've built collection centers, right, where you can go and deposit your honey and get cash. Okay. So that whole supply chain has been worked on, right? So these are honestly, when I think today consumers are more conscious.
Yeah.
They want to know about what the source is, how it's done, if it's ethically sourced or not, and that's what we are doing.
Absolutely.
And yes, you may say that, okay, listen, it's expensive, right? Your honey may be more expensive. Ours is a little more expensive, yes, than the usual one, right? But here's the thing: we spend so much money on training, on development, on skilling, right, and ensuring that it's harvested properly.
Okay.
That obviously, we want to give that quality assurance.
Absolutely.
And you're paying a price for that quality assurance, yes, but you're also going to be part of this whole movement that we are trying to do, which is save the bees, right? We also have something known as Project Pollinate. We launched this a couple of years back, right?
Yes.
Project Pollinate means that you could adopt a beehive, right? Which means that we invite anyone, right, to come to Galho, right, or to reach out to us and say that, listen, I want to adopt a beehive. How do you do that? You pay 2,500 rupees. We will buy a bee box, and we will go and gift it to a beekeeper, a woman, right? She will then start using that as a means of rearing beekeeping, and as a sense of livelihood. For you, what you get is obviously from the first harvest, you get a bottle of your adopted beehive,
right,
straight out of that beehive, right? And also, a lot of blessings, I guess, from that
reasonable.
woman, right?
Just
and it's not a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's just your way of saying, you know what, I'm doing well. Let me share my blessings, right? And that's what we're doing. We're just trying to connect the community together of consumers and the growers, and that's what we do at the core.
I really love the idea.
Yeah. So thank you for giving me this platform to talk about this, because I think we are very passionate.
Absolutely.
Me along with my co-founder, Toshianla Jamir, we are working a lot on this, and my team also. We are actually a small team. Among Chale, Avika, we're a small team, but I think we are pushing beyond our limits,
Wow.
And there's a lot of things. So I just want to acknowledge my team also on this.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wonderful job that your team is doing. I think when it comes to environment, bee is such an agent to keep our ecosystem, environment, everything under control. Because once you realize that bee is reducing their population, then environment become a little different.
Yes.
Right. So people will just protest to make bees. Not getting distracted from their habitation.
In fact, I think Albert Einstein said that if bees cease to exist, the world will end in 4 years.
I'm sure.
Because they are the ones that pollinate. So that's how important they are.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. And I want to take this opportunity, just 2 minutes, to just say that we are fighting against something that's becoming quite difficult and challenging for us, which is hornets, right?
Yeah.
Now, the love of hornets or the hornet nest for Nagas is growing. But what people need to understand is that this hornets, love of this is making a lot of farmers start rearing hornets. Hornets are the killer of bees.
Bees, absolutely.
Right? A few hornets go into these beehives and damage colonies.
They do.
Kills lakhs and lakhs of bees, right? And here we are trying to educate people that, listen, let us think before we buy that or accept that, that thing of the hornet comb, right? we might enjoy a nice meal, but we need to understand that while we are enjoying that, we're killing so many bees, right? So I think we really want to get this out. So, I don't know. I mean, I wanted to use this platform just to, just saying that we need to love our nature, and nature has a way of preserving itself. Let's not play with that, Bees are good for the environment. Bees are good for us. They pollinate. They're good for our crops. There are a lot of crop cross-pollination that happens, right? They've never harmed us. In fact, it's so interesting to see that bee rearing. I mean, the beekeepers treat each and every bee like their children. It's crazy insane. It's like they have humanized bees, right? And that's what we try to do. We try to humanize bees. We try to give the world, give the things from the bee's perspective, right? And here's another crazy thing. I mean, I might be speaking a little too much, but here's a crazy thing about what we do, right? The other thing that we say is that this bottle of honey might be the last ever produced because we don't produce this, because we are a raw, natural, 100% organic, product, right? Honey, right? We don't standardize. We don't run it through a machine and standardize it like a Dabur does or one of the big brands does, right? We literally just give it in its pure raw form, right? So what we say is that this could be the last one because we don't make this honey. It's the bees. And it's what they pollinate on. So we cannot assure you that we'll give you the same product. We can give you something similar, but we can't assure because that composition is made by the bee.
Made by the bees.
Made by the bees for you.
Exactly. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I think many people need to understand this.
Correct.
And I really love the idea of our love for honest is our hate for the environment. It can be translated that way. Like there was a news in the US recent years. There was a Asian hornet found in the United States, and the whole country was kind of alarmed by their presence because they're going to kill a lot of the bee communities. I think this is something that we need to educate ourselves, and I think many people are not paying attention to this because we just don't want to compromise our appetite.
Sure.
Yeah. So this is a stingless bee that you have brought.
Yes.
Produced by Galho.
I would love for you to try it. This is our best seller.
How do you try it? You just have to scoop it?
just have a scoop of it.
Yeah.
It's sour in nature. It's produced by this bee known as the stingless bee, which by its name it does not thing. And this is not infused. Okay, this is 100%
just raw,
100% natural. It's very
sour.
high in medicinal
it's
properties.
Sour,
Correct. So it's naturally sour. It's very high in medicinal properties. And like I said, it's one of our best sellers. They produce. This is very rare to our region only, so you don't really find this anywhere around.
Really?
Yeah, it's
in the mainland India also.
No, you don't.
Wow.
You don't. So here's another thing, right? For me, growing up, I always thought honey was one type, right?
Yeah, exactly. The
just
sweet one.
honey, right? And just one sweet honey.
Right.
But what I've understand, we work with 3 species of bees.
Okay.
We work with the Epicerana bee, we work with the rock bee, and the stingless bee. And they produce various kind of honey based on the flora around it.
Wow.
So if you notice in the gift box, we have current couple of things known as the wild apple, the wild cherry.
Right.
Again, these are not infused from the side. Yeah.
Okay, from the side.
These are not infused.
Or from here.
These are all natural. What we do is where there are like these, where there are a lot of wild apple growing, some certain regions. What we do is we plonk in our bee boxes there.
Okay.
So the flavors that you get out of that is from that wild apple flavor that you get.
Okay.
So these are not infused. These are 100% natural. It's really interesting the kind of work that we're doing. And
do you mean to say that they are also, you have infused honey in them?
No, they are not.
Okay, right.
So this is pure honey, right?
Really?
So if there's a forest area and there's a lot of wild apple growing around that area, we put our bee boxes there.
Okay.
So they go and pollinate on the wildflower.
And do you get a flavor based on those? Really?
You get a little bit of a flavor.
This is wild cherry.
Yeah. So this is from Mokokchung. A lot of wild cherry growing there. So we put our bee boxes there, and then you get that little bit of that.
That's beautiful.
Correct. So there's some really interesting stuff.
I love the meticulous management that you guys are doing on this. I mean, this is something way beyond what we can expect. Just producing honey itself and coming to our doorstep, it's like this is what we expect.
Correct.
But you guys go way beyond that and try to bring different flavors, like depending on the flora that's found there.
Yes.
That's amazing. This is wild apple.
Wild apple, yes.
Wow. But these are all stingless bee, right?
No, these are Epicerana bees.
Wow. The sweet
Epiceranas are the ones that can be reared in boxes. The rock bee are the wild ones which cannot be.
Right.
So we also teach them how to harvest in the right way so that you don't damage much of the hives. We unfortunately with the rock bee we have to extract with the hives, but what we do is we leave that part where the babies are kept so that they can reproduce faster.
Wow.
So we make sure we source it properly. Yeah.
And this one is wildflower.
This is wildflower, but you would have the name below. Epicerana, is it?
It's organic wild forest.
No,
rock bee.
This is the rock bee.
Wow.
So this is the one that is found on the cliffs.
I see. Is that the one?
Correct.
Okay. Is it slightly bigger than the bee size?
Yes, it's very big.
Okay.
It's like twice the size of the normal bee.
So you call that rock bee?
Yes.
How do you even harvest that?
So that's the thing. So we, again, like I said, we have to make sure that we only take the part that is producing the honey.
Right.
So the composition of a hive is that there's a part that has all the honey and there's a part which has the brooding happening there with all the babies, the eggs and all that stuff. So we make sure that we slice it in such a way that we only take the honey part and we clip back the part which is brooding with the babies so that they can reproduce and it's important to a lot of people say, okay, let's not touch the cliffs with rock bee.
Right.
But we need to harvest time to time to make space for them to make more hives in the future.
I see.
That's how they do it. So
wow. And they don't shift away from there.
They don't usually like to shift away.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless there's no space, then they would have to migrate, right?
Okay.
So we don't want that, and hence we make sure that we clean up that area for them to regenerate the hives.
And do you ship this product to?
We do. We have
also?
Usually mainland India. We send a shipment to Istanbul recently.
Whoa.
Which is a very great experience for us also.
Right.
So we are looking at exporting it. What we do is we do a very fair pricing for the farmers to make sure that they are motivated enough to start. And another thing is that the traditional way of beekeeping, right, with the chopped wood, right, that generates that you can harvest only once a year.
Okay.
So you would probably be able to generate 5,000-6,000 rupees. But with the way we are teaching them, you can generate up to 40,000-50,000 rupees per bee box.
Wow.
So we are also doubling. We are also making their incomes 8 to 10 times. We are increasing the incomes of the beekeepers.
Wow. I think this is very holistic environment, livelihood of the people.
Correct.
And also the life. I mean, the life of the bees themselves, right? Like we need to protect all of this.
Correct.
This is a rock bee. Can I just try?
Sure. Please do. Please. I think there's just a covering on top. There's a seal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should be fine.
Yeah.
Wow, love the packaging, yeah? No wonder you are there, the king of packaging, I would say. It's wonderful. This is a sweet one, I think.
Yeah, this is a little sweet. Like I said, it depends on the flora. But if you can feel the flavor and the originality of it.
Yeah, I love this.
Right? I mean, you can actually feel the difference from this and like a commercial brand, right? Correct.
Tabul.
Correct.
I mean, those are not.
You can feel the difference.
Of course, definitely. And this one, let me try. Let me see wild cherry.
Sure.
Whether I'll get the slight taste of the wild cherry itself. Colors are also different, right?
Yes. We don't infuse anything. These are all natural.
In the beginning, I thought this must be some sort of a jam or something. Wild cherry. I was like, nothing.
I think we should all start consuming more of honey, substituting it with the jams and the other things, that's sugars,
And how much do you sell this for?
So this we sold for 500 rupees.
That's very reasonable.
We're trying to be as reasonable as we can.
Wow.
So this is a lovely gift pack. Maybe something that can work in Mother's Day this time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think viewers should really check this out. I'm not. This is not for promotion, but I think this is really going to be worth it. You get different types of honey.
Yes.
Like from different types of sources.
Bees and different floras. Yeah.
Wow. This is going to be a great gift. Like if you want to gift it to your friend or to someone you work with or anyone, your loved ones.
And we just did this because there's so many youngsters and people. I mean, not just youngsters, but a lot of people going out nowadays, having friends in mainland India and all that stuff, and just something to take for them, right?
Exactly.
Small gift, love from Nagaland, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, it's a perfect, nice gift, So we thought, we'll just do that. Educate people, and they are going to be our ambassadors for the brand,
Exactly.
So
thanks for doing this. I love it. I love honey, actually. Like just that we don't get it whenever we want. Right. And I think, and by buying your honey, we are supporting environment. We're supporting the life of people, the farmers, bee farmers, and this is best way to build our society for ourselves.
Yes.
In very holistic manner.
Yes.
Thanks for doing this. I think there will be many things that we can still talk about, but I think since the time will not permit us to do that, I really wish Galho team and your Bambusa team all the best.
Sure.
And thanks for being that of a beacon of light at a time when we are so lost in pursuing something that is not meaningful in many ways. So please keep it up. And our support, I mean, personally, my support will always be there. I mean, for doing such an amazing work. I got to learn about this Galho just today. So this is not... let's say this is not a staged conversation on this, but yes, Bambusa, I've known about it, but I want to understand about Bambusa even more in depth. So thanks so much for sharing all your knowledge and sharing all the works that you are doing. And kudos to your team. I mean, like, our viewers should support this kind of people and the wonderful work that they're doing. And I have personally tasted this is wonderful honey that I've really tasted, and I'm sure this will really help us in in whatever way we can contribute. So please consider checking out their products. I think it's available on website.
Yes.
Galho.in.
Galho.in.
Yeah. So you ship all over India as well.
Correct.
Yeah. People who are from the mainland, if you're watching, please check this out. The raw, pure organic Northeast honey that is produced in Nagaland. I'm sure you won't regret, because I kind of love the taste, which the two flavors that I have tasted. So thanks so much. And do you have any last thoughts that you would like to convey to our viewers?
Okay, so just getting back to just obviously, today I'm here because you've invited me to talk about the business. We're hoping that we can inspire a few youths who are, entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs. So maybe I would just share a little bit about the do's and don'ts maybe of entrepreneurship, right? Like I initially started about how I was telling you about it. The money should not be the motivator. You should have a purpose, right? You should have a mission, right? I think that's important. If you do truly follow your purpose and your mission, right, and you will grow, right? And if you grow, you will make money, right? So I think that at the core. I think the other thing is that you must invest in yourself. I don't see this enough in our youngsters. I feel you should look at certain things as an investment. You should read books. You should watch educational videos. You should travel. You should attend conferences, seminars, right? You should just generally invest in yourself, right? You should, I think that's very important for you to evolve. Absolutely. Like I said, today because of the power of the internet, there's no difference between a young person in America and a young person in Dimapur, right? Or Kohima, right?
Exactly.
There's no difference because you have the same platforms.
Yeah.
Right. There was a time when we didn't have access to information. There was a time when we didn't have any access to any knowledge per se, right?
True.
But today we do. So we have no excuse to say, I'm from Dimapur, I'm from Nagaland, small town, small state, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to know as much as that American kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not true, right? You have access to everything, and that's the playing field has leveled, right? And I think it's very important. Okay, for entrepreneurs who have set up businesses, who are struggling to grow, to scale, I think it's very important that you look into systems and processes. I think one thing that's really helped us grow as an organization is our focus on systems and processes, right? What I mean by that is, see, there's only so much I can do as an individual, right?
Yeah.
today I'm sitting here with you. My businesses are not closed. It's running, right?
Exactly.
A lot of people say, Medo, how do you manage so many businesses, right?
Yeah.
How do you have enough brothers, sisters to take care of each outlet, right? And I said, no, I'm solo running it. I mean, my wife's helping me a lot now.
True.
But beyond that, my brothers are doing their own, stuff, right? And they're doing well in whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm running it solo and with my wife and, managing it. But it's because I'm managing because I've done a couple of things.
Correct.
Systems and processes,
Yeah.
and introduce technology into your businesses.
True.
I think it's very, very important that you undermine technology.
Yeah.
Technology is not rocket science, or it's not something very complex. I think the simplest of things is technology itself. So you should not fear technology. Something like a WhatsApp group is actually technology, right? So it's as simple as that, right?
Correct.
So we tend to think technology is something very big.
Yeah.
Before we even try anything out, we give up, right? But I think you should open up your mind to say, you know what, let's try to, bring in some technology which will help enhance this business, which will help scale, which will help grow.
Correct.
Scaling is very, very important for an entrepreneur because, like I said, there are times, or there are rather slots in years where you say, okay, for the first 3 years, I'm going to work hard, right? After 3 years, I want to work smart, right? And so that evolution has to take place. Because if you tend to think that I'll work hard for 10 years, you will not be motivated enough.
Correct.
Right? So you take a step back. You have to look at, how am I growing this business?
Right.
What can I do to come out of this business? Right? And one mistake that they do is, a lot of people do is, after a few years, they actually come out of the business, but without putting a systems and processes in place.
That's
right.
That's amazing.
And that's wrong, right?
That's wrong.
Because that you're just going to fail more, right? So it's either you're involved or you're not involved, right?
Yeah.
But when you step out of the business, you make sure there's a system and process in place, so that when you step out, you can do your regular checks.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And hence, few things that, I think it's very, very important. And beyond that, human resource management also is very important.
Correct.
Because, like they say, people don't leave organizations. People leave people.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if you're having a lot of people leaving your organization, you have to start looking at why and who are they leaving, right? Rather, right?
Correct.
So I think few things like that is important. I think intellectual property also is very, very important.
Right.
Galho is trademarked, by the way.
I see.
Yeah, not that.
Congratulations.
I think it's very important to protect yourself, especially in today's day and age. The moment you want to start a business, go to godaddy.com, look at the website, right? If you can get the domain name, great. If you can't, think of another name, because you would need a domain name, especially if you're in the very,
if you have a long-term plan.
Long-term plan, right? Correct. So intellectual property, I think trademarks, patents, I think those are things that we need to start looking at as an entrepreneur. I think there's a lot of stuff, that I would love to share, but, I mean, of course, given the time constraints, but it's been lovely, just having a conversation. I hope it's helped people. I hope it's inspired people. I'm always telling youngsters, just reach out, be shameless in life sometimes, right? Shameless in the sense, like, if you really truly want to learn something, just approach a person. I make sure when I go to a conference or to a seminar, I make sure I sit in the front line, or at least the front seat, or the second seat, right? I never sit at the back, right? Because I'll make sure I'll ask one question, because I know there's no stupid questions, right? So I make sure I ask one question, right? So these are small things that we do to kind of like, to try to learn, to try to grow, to try to network, to try to understand. I love this thing that one person told me, initial days, I was starting up as an entrepreneur, right? I went up to a person and I said, hey, how do you network? And this person told me a very simple thing. He said, Medo, don't try to network. Try to connect. Right? Yeah. That just changed my whole perspective of how I approach this. I think a lot of times when we're starting up, we try to network, right? We try to go and give out business cards and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Today I've learned that you just connect. You just go and speak to them, talk to them, just general stuff, right?
Yeah.
And just try to connect first. And I think there's a difference between network and connect.
Connect is more personal level.
It's more personal and it works better, right? So yeah, I mean, so
thanks for sharing that.
A lot of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I've personally learned a lot of things. Many things are new to me as well, and I think this is going to be a masterclass lesson for people or youngsters who are into entrepreneurship and who want to pursue career in this as well.
Sure.
So thanks for sharing your very valuable personal experience in entrepreneurship. Thanks for existing. I mean, yeah. And I think many people will follow your footpath, and definitely thanks for shedding that light for the young generation. This is what we need so much in this critical juncture. Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So all the best for all the businesses and that the goals that you've been pursuing and the gift backs that you've been giving to our community and society. Thanks so much for all the services that you're doing. And I'm sure people will reach out to you even more for your products or for your business advice or even in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk again in the future.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Medo.